Hi, welcome to PlugP. In this Unity C# tutorial, I want to show you how you can design a procedural sphere and scale it by using a series of sliders in Unity by using a C# script called Scale 3D, which I'm going to teach you step by step. First, what I want to do is to write a C# script called Scale 3D so I can scale any game object in Unity. Okay, first I have to make a C# script, so I'm going to right click here and go to Create and select this C# script. Now we can name it. I'm going to name it Scale X, Y, and Z and just double click it, so it's going to be opened in Visual Studio. Okay, you can see that we have this in C#. I'm going to delete a series of usings we don't want to use here. I'm also going to use the Unity Engine UI, so it's going to be using Unity Engine.ui, and that's it. As you can see here, the class is Scale XYZ. Remember that this name has to be the same as the script we have it here. Let's go back to the Visual Studio, and what I want to do here is to delete everything. So in between we're going to write the code and let's just start. So what I want to do with my script is to make a series of sliders. It's going to be Scale X, Y, and Z, and also a 3D model which is going to be a game object. Let's just go to the Visual Studio. To make the sliders, I'm going to write public, and the type we want to use here is slider, and we're going to name it like Scale X, and I'm also going to make this Scale Y and Scale Z. And let's just save this C# script and open Unity again. And as you can see here, when I click on the script, it's going to make us a container for the Scale X, Y, and Z, which we're going to produce by the Unity UI component. To make a game object container, I'm going to also write public game object and name it something like 3D model, but because you can't start with a number, I'm going to name it model 3D. So it's just like model 3D, and I'm going to use this as a game object. Let's just save this. And now when I click on my script, you can see that I have also a model 3D container, which I'm going to use it for my game object. Okay, to make a slider, it's really easy. You just have to right click here and go to UI, and here we have the slider. And here we're going to name it like slider X. Just Control C, Control V it. So we have also slider Y and slider Z. To control the canvas easily, you just have to double click here. So you see the canvas. I'm going to switch to 2D, which is really easy to do, and zoom in. I'm going to select the slider X and move it a little bit up. Slider Y, just put it here, and slider Z. It's going to go. If you want to move them all together, I'm going to use the Shift key and move it like here. And if I just hit the play button, you can see that I have the sliders in the game, which I can just change, and it's really easy to do. Okay, now I have to add something to the 3D model. So I'm going to right click and 3D object. To make it as easy as possible, I'm going to make a sphere. And in the transform menu, be sure to put the X, Y, and Z to 0. And because it's really small in compared to the camera, I'm going to make the sphere a little bit bigger. So maybe it's like a 10, 10, and 10 for the scaling. And now when I go to the game, you can see the sphere. To make the background like a solid color, I can select the main camera, and in the inspector, I can change the skybox to solid color, and I'm going to just change this to blue. So in the game, you can see it's like a blue color. For the sphere, you can also give it a material. So if I go to the sphere and here in the mesh renderer, I'm going to open the materials. And if you make a material here by right clicking and selecting a create material, I can go here and change the color. For example, I can make it like red, maybe just metallic, and smoothness. And now let's just go to the sphere and put this on the material. Okay, if I go to the game, you can see that it's like here. And what I want to do is to change the sphere radius and scaling by these sliders. So let's just go to the C# script, and I'm going to type private void update. So it's just going to be run all the time in Unity. And what I want to do is to work with my 3D model. So it's going to be model 3D dot transform, because I want to transform it. Transform dot scale, and you can see it says local scale, so I'm going to just select this. And so now I have to make a new model from it. So I'm going to say equals to new, and it's going to be a vector 3, and we're going to make scaling in the XYZ direction. So for example, if I write 100, 10, and 50 and save this. So let's just go back and run the game. And as you can see here, the sphere scale is 100, 10, and 50. And that's going to affect the scaling of the sphere. So what I want to do here is to change this by the sliders I have here, slider scale X, Y, and Z. To do that, we can say scale X dot value, and I'm going to also use that to put it here. It's going to be scale Y value, and here we want scale Z value. I'm going to save this, and to control the, let's just go back to the game. Before we run the game, be sure to click on the slider and go down and check out for the minimum and the maximum value, and also the value it has. So I'm going to say it's like between 100 and 1000, and the value it has, it's like minimum 100. And now I'm going to run the game. And as you can see here, I can change the scale Y and Z easily by playing with these sliders, and the result is going to update easily. You can also give another game object to that. Let's just make a 3D object cube. I'm going to put the location to 0, 0, 0, and put the scale to 100, 100, and 100. And now you can see that you can see it in the game. For the sphere, just put the mesh renderer off, and now we have the cube. To give it to the cube, we just have to go to the scale X, Y, and Z and put the cube here in the 3D model and just hit the play. And now we can scale this easily. This is going to be the Z direction, so you can scale that really easy by using these sliders. Okay, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel, because we're going to talk about other transform methods like rotation, arraying, and other techniques for 3D modeling in Unity by using C# script. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.